Episode 506 of the TV Dudes, recorded September 27th, 2024. One Piece, chosen by Patreon supporter Danny Doggett. This week, we're checking out 4 choice episodes from the insanely long-running anime series, One Piece.
Anime whisperer Danny Doggett takes a big swing with his latest Patreon showrunner choice, One Piece, which obviously Les has never watched before.
Yeah, I even missed the live action.
That is correct, and I haven't watched a lot of One Piece either, to be completely frank about it.
I know you were more aware of it. You definitely like the live action.
Will this bring Les around, though? We shall see.
There was so much screaming in it.
There really was. To the point
so
where
much
I'm
screaming.
hoarse. I'm hoarse listening to that much screaming. No, I'm just recovering slightly still from our COVID experience.
Oof.
But who's recovering? Why, it's me, Nick.
And I'm Les.
And we're
And
the
we're the
TV
TV
Dudes.
No tune-in question this week because of the aforementioned recovery from COVID.
Hell, I'm dying.
Yeah, just trying to get back into the swing of things after long vacation and then being sick.
We did have some diaries, though, so let's get them.
Yeah, we've been watching some recovery TV.
The Diaries of the Television Dudes. Brought to you by only the finest cocaine wine.
Nick, we threw on a movie that we missed in theaters, but I gotta say I was pleasantly surprised by, In a Violent Nature.
It's always one of those ones where I could have actually been annoyed in the theater, to be all honest. Like, maybe, but then again, seeing it with a crowd at a festival might have enhanced it.
Yeah, but it wouldn't have been with a crowd. It would have been like 2 other people resenting
right.
us in the theater just as we're resenting them. Like,
But if I was seeing this at Fantastic Fest
Right,
or something like that.
No, at like Beyond Fest or something, I could see this being a blast.
But yeah, it is the movie where the camera just stays with the killer the whole time. Not first person. It's more like a third person,
Right.
almost over the shoulder type
Yeah, it's
thing.
got an N64 vibe. Like you're like hanging out over Mario's shoulder the whole time.
And I mean, and it switches around for like the campfire scene, exposition scene where he's watching them give
Right,
exposition, which
It actually works really well. Like there's a lot of like it kept making a lot of fun choices. Every time we were like, "Oh, I hope it's this." Oh, hey. I'd say it was a little bit of a fest movie ending for me.
Mm-hmm.
There's a moment where it finally does kind of leave him and change perspective.
Oh yeah, the ending.
And I felt like it lost steam there.
Yeah, I could see what they were going for.
Yeah, I do like what they end up going for. I would recommend folks check it out and see, because by the time the credits finished rolling and we kind of discussed it for a minute, like, no, I see what they were doing. Smart swing.
Look, the actual climax of the movie was actually 20 minutes ago.
Right, right.
Or it feels like that because of that long speech in the car. I still would shorten that.
I would still cut that, regardless. Yeah.
The idea of the still a horror movie going on in the periphery.
That was amazing. That's probably the best thing it does.
So those girls that flew with you at the gas station, you gonna go hang out with them or whatever? Like, just
no.
You're getting the scene without the scene,
right?
Like the cheating of it.
That was there's so many moments where you realize that a horror movie you've seen a million times, like the most, basic by the numbers camp slasher, teens in a cabin type, archetypical movie that you've seen a million times, is happening in the background, and that you don't really need any more of it than this. Like you get enough to go off of at every point. Like you'll run into these characters again, and you know exactly where they are in their movie.
Yeah, it really feels like it could be a Friday the 13th movie, changing some names and stuff around.
Just turned inside out. Yeah, this is Jason Voorhees the movie, and I kind of dug it. I actually really dug it. I would recommend people go watch In a Violent Nature. What else did we?
Well, another horror movie we watched that was surprisingly surprising was The Blackening.
Right. Tim Story, who I think did Barbershop, I may be wrong, doing a basically send up of horror movies, but all the main characters are black. So take every trope of you've ever seen happen to a black person in a horror movie, and they're going to take a stab straight at it. I'd say the only thing that didn't work for me in Blackening was they have one character that's their nerdiest. He's not even a friend. Clifton.
Yeah.
And the dude is doing something between, like, if Urkel were doing a Sammy Davis Jr. impression.
Yeah, it's really real distracting.
He's got, like, man, pervy frame glasses and, like, doing a squinty eye. He only talks out of one corner of his mouth.
I get what they're doing, but it's
like 50% too thick.
Well, I probably wouldn't want to do it at all, but even if I were gonna do it, like, maybe ease it back just a little bit.
Dial it back. Yeah, like, everybody in the movie is a little bit of a stereotype, but, like, damn,
so that he's
man.
not always talking like this. You know.
Like, it's...
oh, dear.
Like, even Bill Murray can't do, full 110% honker all the time. It gets old. And that's literally like the only serious flaw. Like, we laughed hard at a couple of moments in this movie.
Well, there's a engine in it that is based off of playing a game based off their blackness, which is literally a board game at a certain point. And then, of course, there's the like splitting up moment where like no, I can't help if it's an actually good idea that we should split up,
right?
And
yeah, there's constant.
They have to like, decide who's the blackest among them to like sacrifice. Like, well, you showed up to a party you were not invited to. That's black as fuck.
Yeah, and a lot of those jokes are in the trailer, but I was really impressed that the whole movie's not in the trailer. Like, right. there really were a lot of really funny fucking bits in this movie. Everybody does a great job. And I've not watched Meet the Blacks, but now it's getting recommended to me because of Blackening, which appears to be Black Family Goes Through the Purge.
I want to roll the dice on that. Yeah, we also finished off Kite Man.
That's right. I somehow left that off of my list.
Which is pretty good. I'd still say that I'm massively disappointed that Harley Quinn has split off into two shows that just aren't as good as it used to be.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fine.
And not in a, like, noticeably.
Yeah. Like, I got two okay bands out of my favorite band breaking up.
Like, they're funny, and I laugh, but I'm like, man, I used to laugh really hard at this.
Right.
This used to be the Batman Eats Pussy show, and I feel like it's pussied out.
Yes. Yeah. Well, we were told, apparently Kite Man doesn't do that.
No, Kite Man definitely does. Hell yeah.
Hell yeah, he does.
Hell yeah, he does.
Yeah, he does. His dad probably doesn't.
And then, like, Lance Reddick had to be replaced again at the last...
Right, because they got all but 2 episodes recorded, it seems like.
Yeah, I don't know, man. At what point is it disrespectful to the actor to, like...
I can really see the problem there of, like, but we have 8, incredible Lance Reddick as Lex episodes. Do we not air any of them? Because we're definitely going to have to replace him the last 2 with a guy that's just doing his level best.
Well, you shouldn't have replaced Giancarlo Esposito in the first goddamn place.
Yeah.
There was nothing wrong with his Lex. And
I assume he's just the busiest man on earth.
I actually get why they replaced Darkseid. I get why Darkseid's Keith David now.
Oh, but Keith David is Darkseid.
Because they have to do more funny stuff with Darkseid than they did in the Harley Quinn. He was still the straight man. He was still the straight man in Harley Quinn, so you could still do Ironside, Michael Ironside as...
I fucking love Keith David's Darkseid.
So I get why, but Lex is the same character. You don't have to change his voice actor.
See, speaking of new shows that I feel like I'm supposed to watch, but I'm just not that excited about, Agatha All Along.
That's right. We watched the opening 2, like the premiere 2 episodes, and then the follow-up for this week. I actually liked the opening Murder Dirter episode
a lot more than me.
Everybody else, but... Because I just think that's funny.
It's the best they could have picked for it, but after WandaVision, I never want to see them do that again.
This last episode left me wanting specifically more Aubrey Plaza.
Yeah, I think that's where everybody is on the show, even if you like it. There's a distinct lack of Plaza here.
There is a point of, like you said, that there's a bunch of powerless witches on the road, and not all of them are powerless, but they are definitely depowered. Like, they don't have the levitation or blasts or whatever.
Nobody's doing anything cool. It's they're just walking down a foggy road full of shadowy trees, and then into a show home at the edge of the neighborhood kind of thing.
In this episode, there's a flashbacks with the poison that they drink in, and even then...
But Mephisto, Nick...
The flashbacks are intriguing in a way, but like not in any way. Like they immediately, since there's so many characters, they're immediately gone.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I would hope that this was, each test was going to test each of the witches specifically, and we'd find out more about them individually.
Yeah, no, this test is a test of the potions.
Yeah, but we get an equal amount of information from everybody.
So I had assumed that, I thought we'd all assumed that Agatha was putting together this coven because she's been down the road before and has a reputation for getting every witch near her killed. And so I just assumed that it was like, well, it takes X number of us to open the path to the road, and then in all likelihood we're all going to die, but at best one of us is going to make it.
Right.
And I'm going to make sure that's me, and you're all chum for the water, like you're all sacrificial.
Well, we're already down one, technically.
And so that kind of seems like what she's doing, but the way the tests work, you're going to need each witch's specialization, and if you don't have, like they said, I do like the witch heavy on the craft. Like if you don't have just innate power, it's real work.
Yeah, it's work.
Like
I did like that,
and I thought that was cool. But that means that you need each of these witches. Like that means that Mrs. Davis or Hart, Sharon, was never going to work.
No,
like you just picked your best gardener neighbor.
Right.
That's not going to work out. Unless we were to find out, like what we all thought, that she's either Plaza or that she's really secretly a witch somehow.
Well, Plaza's got to be there because they need an Earth Witch and open the door, and the door opened. So there was an Earth Witch there.
Right.
Like, so I don't know why Plaza's waiting so long to reveal herself or whatnot, but because she's got to be there.
And they are teasing back and forth with who Teen is.
Right.
As to whether
they make such an obvious ploy for Agatha's son that it almost can't be.
Right.
You know?
Which is a character, I think Nick Scratch is his name in the comics. But I saw someone online posting that something about the lot happened when I was 13, all that people think he's a character called Wiccan.
Wiccan, yeah.
And
well, because also he has a boyfriend, and I think Wiccan's gay in the comics.
And it's the MCU. They could be making Nick Scratch and Wiccan the same character.
Sure.
Like, it doesn't have to stay exactly the way the comic ran.
No, I'm gonna need some more Aubrey Plaza licking wounds closed and like talking about pain tickling. Like
right.
More. I don't know what that says about me, but I need something to get me through this. It feels like we're really like
they're not like full powered witches. Would you say it's like a semi-charmed life?
Semi-charmed life
that you need to get you through?
Baby.
Yeah, I want more Plaza back on this show.
Yeah, I want something else.
And I think Patti LuPone probably got off the best line for me. Well, Catherine Hahn saves a lot of scenes.
What's fun about this episode is her trying to not take the poison and like pretend like she is like, oh no, what a bummer.
Putting the hair over her face and but her pep talk of like pulling the Jennifer, like pulling the potions witch aside and I've always hated you. Like if that's your pep talk, it sucks. Like it is one of the truly good bad pep talks.
But I left you alone because you were doing it.
The work was good. Not the skincare shit. I did like that they call her bluff on her skincare shit being natural and not having petroleum in it, which is hilarious. But it bothers me from just a weird, stupid inside the rules standpoint that they don't have to pour it out of the jars. They just throw glass jars into the potion and it works. I don't know why that bothers the shit out of me.
Well, all of it is intention anyway. Like it's like you need it.
Yeah.
You need the hair of all these witches, and like it all dissolves immediately. Like there's no jars in the thing when they go to drink it.
No, it's all gone.
It just magically becomes a soup.
Like I'm amazed that the spoon they stirred didn't come up a skull, like burned into a little skull, you know. But I did love the is our exit an oven? No. And then her turning to everybody else and like, so that actually happened to a friend of mine once. She had a really nice house. Like that's the shit I'm here for.
That's more fun. And then they immediately go down a slide into the wood again, and I'm like, man, I don't want to see I get what they were doing, that this was the potion wishes test, and this is like...
That's what each episode's going to be.
And this was a house like the suburban white moms that she sells to.
Right.
That's the idea here. But like, man, I like them going down the spooky slide that it looks like it was made for a Halloween.
Yeah.
House.
I bagged on it a little bit while watching it for being hocus pocus light, but honestly, I don't mind the hocus pocusness of it.
But I want the scary trees and fog.
Yeah.
Like I want that though.
And I do think we saw the engine for the show this week, that each of the next few episodes is going to be a witch test themed to one of them, whoever's test it is.
Well, how many episodes are there?
6 or 8. 6, I think. It's going to end on Halloween, I think.
Well, we already watched 3, and we have 5 witch tests.
Yeah, so they're going to combine some. They've got to.
So I would assume, yeah.
But anyway, we'll see how this goes. If they were going to run a full long season, you can definitely see the engine of it. But yeah, they're going to have to compress it somehow.
So what type of witch is Agatha actually then? That
I don't know.
Because they mentioned the types of witch everyone else. Like one's a protection witch, diviner, like the fortune teller. And she like, you know, I don't know, the blaster, like
right, like she just takes people's power and trades for power, and like but yeah, we don't know her specialty in this. And Teen is just there. Also, they're down a witch now. I think everybody's favorite character.
Yeah, Mrs. Hart. Sharon Davis.
Sharon. I think I'm the only person bothered by them continuing to call her Mrs. Hart.
Yeah, that's just a joke, man. Like,
I know.
That's just set up for the gag later of like, who's Sharon?
Who's Sharon? Yeah. It took me forever to watch this week. I don't know. I think I was not in the mood for this show. Got to get into spooky season mode.
Yeah.
You also watched Triggered and the Furies. Were these technically part of your marathon?
Well, I think I started with the tournament because it's a movie I remembered from high school or whatever. It was such a aughts movie, like it's 2007-ish or something, and it was an action movie from that point. So I remember it not being very good, but it's one of those movies that are like a bunch of assassins compete for a prize, a bunch of money, like, and I love Mean Guns even though it's not good, not that good, and so I watched that and it was surprisingly better than I remembered it being. And so that sent me down the rabbit hole of like, I want to watch more assassins fighting each other for money, tournament style. And honestly, I thought
vanishingly small genre, man.
Well, there's a lot of death game movies,
right? But not usually trained killers. But
not trained. Yeah, a lot of like Triggered wasn't trained killers. That was just a bunch of people that like it was a lot of times it's like a revenge thing,
or the hunt.
Man, The Hunt, I would even like, that's a bunch of other people hunting a bunch of other people.
That's a dangerous game movie.
Like, that's not I'm looking for a free-for-all. I'm looking for Battle Royale,
or even Free Fire, which is really not a tournament. They're just stuck in the building.
Yeah, all trying to shoot each other. But, man, it led me down a rabbit hole of trying to find a list of movies without just getting the movie you type in. Because I'm like, okay, I need Battle Royale movies. Do you want to watch Battle Royale? No, I need the genre of Battle Royale type movies.
Yeah. So we decided that compiling that list and discussing these movies...
since we're too sick to go see a movie.
Right. So we were too sick to go to the theater this past week. And Nick simply could not find this list existing anywhere. We're going to go through it for Patreon this week.
Hell yeah.
So you can check that out over on patreon.com/TV Dudes.
Mm-hmm.
And I speak to you like the chorus to the verse. Drop another line like a quarter with a curse. Come on like a freak show takes the stage. We gave her the games we play. She said, I want something else to get me through this semi-charm kind of life. Baby, I want something else. I'm not listening when you say goodbye.
So now feels like a good time to mention, over on patreon.com/TV Dudes, you can also throw down $1 an episode while you're there. Get bonus content each week. You can listen to the regular episodes for free. Comment if you are a actual member, and check us out over there. So you're only charged for the bonus eps. So for $4 a month, you get twice the pod. Or for $5 an episode, we'll read a review of any show you want right here on the main episode. This week, like I said, we're going to talk about Nick's journey into the fighting pit of assassin, Mortal Kombat style battle royale type movies. And on the main episode this week, Patreon showrunner, $20 a month level, Danny Doggett chose a show.
Indeed.
So Danny's been the anime whisperer. He is the person that has actually picked like one after another animated shows that actually caught our attention, warmed our hearts, made us laugh. Delicious in Dungeon was remarkable.
Delicious in Dungeons, My Neighbor Kotaro.
No, that's a movie.
That's Totoro.
Kataro.
Kataro
Lives Alone.
Kataro Lives Alone.
Yeah. No, Totoro's the bus stop he'd go to.
Yeah, that's right. But that one was actually really good and impactful.
Oh my God. Every time, like, so I wonder what their backstory is. No, Nick, don't ask. It's so sad.
Oh, is it the saddest thing in the world?
It's so sad. So we were a little surprised when he swung for the fences and chose One Piece.
Did you see that? There's a singing skeleton on that ship!
We're drawing straws to decide who stays here and who goes on the creepy ghost ship with Luffy.
I wonder if he sings, what else can he do? Will you join our crew?
Yes, certainly.
What is this thing and why is it on our ship?
Isn't he funny?
This is the ghost island that wanders throughout these seas. They call it Thriller Bark.
Which is an anime that's been running so long, it's older than all of us combined. That's not true. It just has 1,000 episodes. No shit, it's got like 1,100 episodes. I had never watched any One Piece. I'm literally only aware of it because a few years ago it started being in memes. I think simply because it was over 1,000 episodes, and it's just like I'm aware of Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
I did not know what shonen is. That shonen?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I didn't know that was a type of thing that had this many episodes. Like it's the long season, short season streaming argument. Like, but taken to the nth degree.
Sure. This is basically like any other recognizable brand.
You have a 22 episode season? Ha! Hold my beer.
Like there's my
Sapporo.
There's always a bunch of other anime that are like only go 2-3 seasons, but they're not as well known, or big.
But like I mistakenly thought JoJo was a long running show.
Oh yeah, no, that's
not like JoJo's like a one season blip on a relative scale. It's like comparing your annual, salary to Jeff Bezos. Like
right, it's comparatively small.
Like One Piece is like no show needs to be a billionaire episode.
Yeah, the idea behind any anime is that it's based off of a manga, that's currently running and will eventually catch up to it.
Like a George R. R. Martin problem.
Yeah, so they become popular as manga first and then become anime, basically. So so think about this. There's a bunch of manga that don't have anime based off of them.
Okay.
All those anime you've ever watched are popular enough manga to have anime made of them.
Right.
Even the shitty ones you don't like.
So there's like indie manga that don't have that. And
right.
They're still probably running.
Well,
so if they ever got made, they'd be like 3,000 episodes.
Well, even before that, a lot of those manga are made from light novels that are novelizations made in Japan. That's what Reincarnated as a Slime is actually made from light novels that are made into a manga and then made into an anime.
Good God.
Like there is it's the way Japanese anime are created is like, do you have to be successful at actually a lot of points in order to get to a successful anime?
Like you've already had to have succeeded as
you have to be a light novel that like a lot of people
2 or 3 other
read.
formats, yeah,
and then you have to be a manga that a lot of people have read, and then there's.
This is how it doesn't throw anybody that there's like several versions of Death Note.
But yeah, to the point of how long running One Piece is, he kept it to the early episodes of One Piece's arc. So we're in the first, let's say, third of it.
Right.
Because we only got up to episodes 300 and 380.
Right.
So he had us watch episode 62, whose air date was 2001.
Right.
And then we had to go jump 7 years later, 2008, for episode 338.
Which basically continues the story brought up in that one, with, I am assuming, no touching on it for 300 episodes in between.
Yeah, I can only assume.
Because 62 introduces us to Laboon just as they're getting over the reverse mountain to go.
Right. That's either in the Grand Line or maybe they're already in the Grand Line.
I think they're about to get on the Grand Line.
I think this is the entrance to the Grand Line or something like that.
Right. So so backing up.
Anyway, you can't get back. It's a point of no return.
Right.
You can't get back up.
And this is crazy early in the show. Like episode 62, like I said, it seems like that would be far in a series. It's not. But I obviously didn't know anything about like Nick had to catch. Thankfully, when the live action was airing and I wasn't watching it, you did at least give me a rundown of like what it is.
Sure. Yeah.
That like a big pirate was caught and
Jolly Roger.
And when he at his execution yelled out, "I took all my treasure and put it in one spot. First person to find it gets it. Have
You're
fun."
Pirate King.
And starts a new age of pirates.
Yeah.
Which is just a hilarious and fun setup for a show. I'll give it that. I find it weird that he never says One Piece in the intro, which they do a lot. Like they show the intro every episode.
I think in the 4Kids dub, which is a dub they made before it was the one that like it was on WB basically, and they made a lot of edits so that there wouldn't be as many guns or anything violent like that.
Okay.
And in that one, I think he says, "I left everything in one piece."
Okay.
I remember him saying like that, but no one watches that version of it anymore.
Because I remember you were surprised of like, did he just say one place? I'm like, he did.
Yeah, and I'm remembering the 4Kids dub of it.
Yeah, which is why the show's called One Place.
You know, the one that opens with a rap song, like gotta go.
Oh man, all of them all anime open with weird songs and close with a different weird song.
You're looking for the one that opens like "Come aboard, sail along, bring along all your hopes and dreams."
Yeah, that's the one we were watching. Yeah. So, from the wiki, One Piece, stylized in all caps, is a Japanese anime television series produced by Toei Animation that premiered on Fuji TV in 1999. It's based on the manga series of the same name. The story follows the adventures of Monkey D. Luffy, a boy whose body gained the properties of rubber after unintentionally eating a devil fruit.
Which are things in this universe that give you powers.
Which are things, I guess. With his crew, named the Straw Hat Pirates, Luffy explores the Grand Line in search of the world's ultimate treasure, known as the One Piece, in order to become the Pirate King. There's 1,100 episodes or more. It's exported to various countries and around the world. We watched episode 62, which aired in 2001, 338, which aired in 2008, 379, and 380. And it basically gave us the story of Laboon the Whale,
right,
and how it ties into Brook.
We had to watch episode 63 though because it didn't finish really.
Right, even though we did not know that Danny was already looking out for us.
Yeah, like, oh no, it just told us a story that basically wasn't true.
62 like cliffhangers with like, and the next episode will give you the backstory of this sad fucking whale. So we watched 63 to get the backstory of the sad whale.
Yeah.
And then we watched 338 and 379 and 380, which were all three the backstory of this sad whale. So, like, Danny was already looking out for us.
I think Danny was trying to give us the context to feel sad about these two characters' reunion, only we don't know these, so we had to watch the episode that introduces them both.
It actually was... I got the interaction between Brook and LeBon and like, what all this means. Like, his selection of episodes really worked. Also, I mean, in terms of, like, there's 380 of these that I would have had to have watched to get to this naturally. Which I cannot stress enough, never happen.
Sure.
And so if you want to just show me the Laboon the Whale, I was kind of amazed that you could just kind of pluck 4 episodes out and not only give me that story, but redundantly. Yeah. Though the other thing I and correct me if I'm wrong on this, Danny, the other thing I felt like the selection of episodes was doing was specifically showing how this crazy long show works.
Yeah.
Or doesn't for you, depending on how you feel about One Piece. But the same way that I talk about Supernatural being kind of in a rarefied air, weird, special place that ran for 15 seasons as like it's in the Law and Order country, you know? Like you get special problems when you run that long.
Right. And like in the Law and Order problem, when you get a couple actors that have been on before and are pretending to be new characters.
Right.
There's story problems here with the Laboon's crew.
Right. And just sheer like keeping it all straight and not having any discrepancies. Like there's a Pulp Fiction, the opening and the ending conversations being different level of like, is this on purpose? Did you guys not watch 350 episodes ago? Because there's little differences in the backstory of these pirates here.
They show the pirates in the backstory, which is a thing I don't think they intended to do. Because when they show them later, I'm like, those aren't the same pirates.
Right.
That's not the same captain.
And like we thought it was a plot point thing, and like I think it's just a discrepancy. Like it's just a continuity weirdness.
Yeah, and they all in the original story is that they all left. Like, oh no, they weren't dead. They all left and left you here.
Yeah, and that one like they write off as a unreliable narrator, basically that the.
But who did he hear that from?
But yeah, who did he hear that from? And then their real backstory is the pirates. What really happened to them? They didn't. It was sad and mean that they might have abandoned this whale that loves them.
Yeah.
But what really happens to them is heartbreaking.
They all slowly die from poison arrows.
Right. And they like realize that they just have to stay here and die because they can't leave the ship or infect. Like they don't want to spread it. And they all sing a song until they drop. Like now it's a trio. Oh, now a duet. And now I'm alone. And like. And then hat on a hat on a hat on a hat. The last dude singing had made a separate devil fruit problem for himself.
He ate a revived fruit.
Yeah, which should have raised him from the dead, but in the fog of the sea,
his soul
couldn't find him for like a year.
So he finds him as a skeleton and then revives that.
Yeah. And we didn't see the episode where he seems like he cracked his skull down to his tooth, but it's a great design choice. It looks fucking awesome.
Yeah, it looks great.
Brooke with the afro.
Apparently he can eat with his trachea or whatever. I don't know.
I don't know how that works. Does it? Yeah.
His vertebrae that now substitutes as a trachea.
Right. I gotta say I like Brooke. He's annoying and fun.
Oh man, we need a musician on our crew. Do we? That doesn't seem like a necessary.
Also, the constant problem of like you mentioned is an ongoing thing. Luffy just trying to recruit everyone.
Yeah, we watched him try and recruit the doc from what's his name, Croc dude.
Yeah.
And like okay, so it's mostly not him who he successfully, it's who they can't keep him from recruiting.
Right. He makes the offer apparently to everyone breathing they meet. Yeah. It's literally like who accepts. Like they're lucky not everybody joins the Straw Hat Pirates. I did like in the first episode we watched, they find themselves inside the whale.
Yeah.
But like they don't know, they kind of black out while being, they think, eaten by a whale. They assume they're going to die or whatever. And when they wake up, they seem to be on their ship in an ocean with the sky. And you were like, man, that's really cheap. The birds don't move in the sky.
Yeah.
And I just honestly chalked it up to anime. It's just cheap.
Sure.
And no.
Then I was like, no, wait a minute.
They're Truman Show style. They're inside the whale.
Yeah. He even signs his name next to like one of the
dude's
birds.
been in here so long that he's like, he has to be in here. Yeah, he just paints the signs. And they're in an ocean of stomach bile or stomach acid. Yeah, and then they meet. They're not Team Rocket, but they meet Mr. Nine and Wednesday.
Mrs. Wednesday.
Yeah, because they're all like unlucky or something.
They're
all numbers.
They're numbers and days, but they get they find Mr. Friday and 13 find them.
And we thought killed them, honestly.
Yeah, I'd like blow them up. And they're what leads us to our next antagonists for that series,
right?
Which of course we didn't watch because
but apparently some of those people have been cast now. Joe Manganiello, I think, is going to be one of the numbers or date people.
Sure.
Yeah. So in terms of enjoying the series, the humor's fun, and there's some really great timing stuff where like the whale eye looking down at Luffy
when he punches it. Yeah,
like they've got some comedic timing stuff that is really fun and some cool ideas and stuff. It reminds me of I don't have a lot of anime experience, obviously. It reminds me of watching Speed Racer in high school. Like this feels like old, like what I think of as old anime, like watching Ranma,
yeah,
or something. I realize it's probably not that old in terms of anime, but that's how it felt to me. So there was an immediate like, oh, I get this. It's like a Looney Tunes cartoon. Like this is Screwball. And it's, man, it's never going to be my show. Like I don't want to sit and watch 1100 whatever 2.5 months of One Piece or whatever exists of it. Like I don't, this isn't the show that I like for that. For stuff like that, I'll end up watching CBS procedurals or 25 hours of Law and Order or something instead.
We should watch a One Piece like the live action for next week. We should watch an episode of the live action.
But in terms of the story and the fun and everything, like it does make me interested in watching the live action. I would not be opposed to watching some, like popping in 500 episodes from now on another episode of One Piece and seeing where they are. There's no way I could watch it episode to episode. I don't want to hang out there. But that's, I think, the same reason that I didn't watch a ton of Speed Racer.
Well, I think there's a reason I didn't watch a lot of One Piece is the fact that I was so behind all the time. And also, there's a lot of character stuff, like, we meet Brooke, and that's cool. But meeting Brooke, there was a bunch of characters that were new to the crew that, like, there was the guy with the metal nose, Frankie, or whatever his name was, and Robin. And I don't think, like what did they get, like 2 lines between each other in that episode? Like, they don't have once they join the crew.
I straight up don't know who those people are.
Once they join the crew, they'll go episodes without really having anything to do.
Right.
Like, if it's not a fight, like, if not everyone is fighting, they don't really know how to integrate the like, he's telling the story to Luffy. And every once in a while, Luffy will interject. And I'm like, well, shouldn't some of the other guys interject?
Right.
And, like, you know, Usopp and them, like, say, whoa, that's fucked up. But the idea of Brooke not having his shadow was fun.
Yeah.
And I was actually curious as to how that works.
Right. Which that's got to be on an in-between episode somewhere.
Well, that's the arc I can only assume is that we skipped to the beginning of his thing and then, like, oh, okay, we'll go get your shadow so you can be part of the crew. And then we watch the episode where he's officially part of the crew and he talks about Laboon, which feels out of nowhere of like, oh, okay, because he was part of a crew that all died. It felt like the author at that point remembered that he had a crew of guys that were like gone and like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if this guy was actually part of that crew, and basically had to rewrite either that, like, to rewrite that, oh no, they actually all died.
Well, then Crocus is just wrong.
Or, and this could be the differences in dubbing, how long the show's gone on.
Right.
2001 dubbing is different than 2008 dubbing.
Right.
2001 dubbing, the English dub could have just changed that story of like they all did die.
Right.
And the dub changed it because that's less sad for kids.
Right.
Because that was still considered a kids show.
Right. And yeah, so like who knows?
And now with them aged up with the audience aging up as it always does for these in 2008. Suddenly now we can just, now the whole storyline's about them dying. We can't pretend they didn't. And of course they didn't know that back then. They probably didn't even know that the stories were written. Like, yeah. Like the author didn't know that Brooke was going to be part of Laboon's crew back then.
It feels like managing an incredible, I feel like any of the continuity problems are just literally trying to manage something this long running. And that's kind of fun. But for me, there's never, I'm never going to be sold on the anime style of drawing, like the single line weight, pointy everything. Like, well, I know One Piece doesn't look exactly like everything, but there's a house style over the whole genre.
Sure.
And it overtook like all the new generations of kids that I see draw. Like every friend of mine's kid that's drawing on their notebook.
It's where Teen Titans comes from. It's where
it all looks. It looked like every kid was drawing Naruto or Yu-Gi-Oh or something. You know, that's the style. And I know that it's really no different than all of us in the 90s trying to draw like Jim Lee or Liefeld or whoever. It's the same deal. It's not any better or worse, really. It just it looks different to me, and I really wish they'd add another line weight somewhere. That said, it really works for the squash and stretch of exaggerated comedic action.
Yeah.
I just hate that every once in a while I'm realize that like I'm looking at what appears to be the worst slapdash drawn on a school book cover Like, why are her boobs that big and everything else is jacked out of proportion?
And here, man, I'm gonna get in trouble for saying this, but even the old version of One Piece, the episode 62 we watched, that was in 4 square, like the square
still in
ratio,
4:3.
4:3. And man, it showed then like it had some slow-mo panning thing that like it couldn't really support that. Yeah. Because at least not in the HD that we were watching it in, and it would like jiggle and like wiggle and that sort of thing. I actually prefer that to Batman the Caped Crusader.
I'll give you that.
More money got spent on that, but because it's so computer generated and solid, there's no stretch to it.
Right.
And
no, like I was trying to think, what was the show we just watched that had zero squash and stretch? Which, why do animation?
And so that to me that means no life.
It was Batman. Yeah. Caped Crusader.
And I will always prefer cheap and lively to expensive and cold.
Yes. I'm never going to watch 1,000 episodes of this because I don't, when it is paused on a frame or not moving crazy, I really don't like the drawing style. But I'll absolutely give it up that there's a reason when anime cut down the budget, and that's the whole reason behind this style is making fast, cheap animation. Not shitting on it, we just want to get product out, just want to get the story told. And I'll give it up that like they knew where to stop cutting, because the bare bones style that they are left with, that's what I think of as anime house style, it works amazingly well every single time, no matter how cheap. The fights and the jokes generally work. Yeah. And I think One Piece, part of it's, the writing of the jokes and everything, like, but the pirate crew is just inherently fucking funny. Yeah. Like the Luffy just punches everything because it might need punched.
Well, they're like, he is legitimately insane in the anime in a way.
Oh my God.
Like he's truly insane. No one can get a rein on him.
We talked about Aang being too serious in the live action Avatar versus like he's goofier and more of a little kid. Luffy is bug shot in the 5 minutes of the live action that I've seen walking through the room while you were watching it. I can already tell that no matter how crazy that Chuppy is in live action One Piece, he is not as crazy as Luffy. What? He can't possibly be as insane.
To me, that makes the live
punches that whale a couple times.
Now we're friends. Like,
oh God, that's it. I was even thinking before he fought it for the fun of it, because it seemed like it's what it needed to cheer up.
Yeah, it was a good punch in the face. Well, that's why I like the live action version, is that in a less amount of time, it gets across the main theme of what I think the anime is, and the main character trait I think they want Luffy to have. He's insane, but what they want is this innocence about him.
The constant recruiting is the warm heart that I think is what you're talking about in the live action,
right?
Because
and in the live action version, it really comes across that people believe in him, like that this idea of chasing your dreams is something that a lot of these people have given up on. And then this kid makes them believe in it again.
Turns out the real pirate treasure were the friends.
Was the friends who made along the way. And in neither of these episodes does that come across. He's just insane. Like he just recruits Brook because.
I mean, if I meet a skeleton with an afro that can play almost any musical instrument,
sure,
I am recruiting the shit out of that dude too. Until the rest of the crew can prove to me that he's a monster.
I mean, he's got experience being on a crew before, at least.
Right.
But also the idea of freedom. Like, nowhere in the anime has it ever really has it implied to me, like it has in the live action, that Jolly Roger got one over on the government.
Right.
That they were trying to make an example to end piracy, and he was like, oh yeah?
Right, that does not really come through in the cartoon.
It never really does. Like, that it feels like this place was full because they keep meeting people that were like pirates from 10 years ago. Like,
right.
This place was always full of pirates. But in the live action, it makes it seem like there was a pirate era, and they were like, ah, man, this is the first time pirates have ever really given us this much trouble. Let's try and end it right here. And then Jolly Roger like mentions the One Piece and is like, and inspires like 1,000 new little shits.
They try to kill whoever the king of the pirates is, and instead create a king of the pirates monarch, like a dynasty.
Like now,
well, who's gonna take the mantle? No, there's no mantle. Fuck.
Yeah, like he completely opposite of their intention.
Yeah, because like literally what I've seen of the live action is the intro.
And I think it's pretty, like, as far as the I can see why they're remaking One Piece the anime shorter, more condensed.
Mm-hmm.
Because like, sure, I'm sure some of these Brooke and Laboon episodes are cute and fun.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I was like, oh yeah, I have no idea what the main plot of the show or what the main themes of this show are.
No.
I know who Brooke is, because this is like 2 episodes.
No, it's I'm on a Boat, the show.
Because the 2-episode finale is about Brooke telling the story, and it takes 2 episodes to to tell it.
And
it's so
this
long.
is still not the story of him getting the shadow back.
No.
That's a separate problem.
That's a whole separate 16 episodes, I'm sure.
I love them asking about that and like, so how does the not having a shadow tie to you being a living skeleton? Oh no,
that's a solely separate thing. Like,
yeah, I do love that. So it's a big swing. I won't say that I love it the way that we fell for Kataro or Delicious in Dungeon, where we watched a ton more of it on our own. But I did have more fun watching 4 episodes of One Piece than I thought I would, and it does make me want to go give a shot at the format that's probably going to make me happier, which is the live action.
oh, okay. I was afraid it was just going to wave you off of the live action.
No, because I found myself laughing at like I understood what it's a little screaming and
there's still some panty jokes and stuff.
yeah, no, that wasn't as bad. Though I just hate the art style. But it was a little bit more like, okay, this is a 4-kid show that I don't have any nostalgia for.
Mm-hmm.
So like, if I'm gonna watch One Piece, I would rather watch. I have shows like that I have nostalgia for.
Right.
So like, One Piece just reminds me of something that I like if your cousin picked a show and like, well, I don't really watch this, so I don't have any.
Yeah.
Nothing clicks here. I would rather watch Rusty the Boy Robot or
Rusty.
Or like there's other shows that were on around the same time that I did see. I would watch a Jackie Chan adventure.
Okay.
Before this, because those were more something I actually watched. That said, it is a funny setup, and I'm more willing now to give the live action a try and see if I find it's to see what you were saying. Like, because when you watched the live action, you were like, "Holy shit! They actually translated an anime to screen correctly."
Yeah. No, it's.
I'm starting to feel like I've seen enough anime now to maybe decide that.
Sure. I think it's well regarded as like the most successful live action adaptation of an anime.
Well, prior to watching all of these recently, and particularly some animated One Piece, when you'd say, you're like, hey, they correctly translated an anime to screen, like, cool, why would they do that though?
Why?
But why? Like, over on who? Like, who's the mark?
Because some of these themes are universal and get lost in the Japaneseisms of it, and I think that there's a level of the pirates in the idea of freedom,
right?
For freedom from government,
because it almost tips itself over with the devil fruit thing, like in terms of like, I was following you, and then what that happens to me a lot on anime. I feel and there's occasions where I'm like, oh, that's anime as fuck. The Three Swords dude.
Yeah. Zoro
is definitely out of an anime that is not necessarily pirates.
Yeah, he's I think I like it too, is that it doesn't really come across like in the episodes we watched, but there's an idea of back when the ocean was mysterious, when you had to like sail long distances to get places.
Right.
There's an idea of what crazy shit is out there. Like, there's fruits that can just give you magical powers.
Yes.
There's whales the size of a small city. There's like kraken monsters that like here there be dragons.
Yeah.
Is the kind of idea of like the Grand Line itself is this. You have to steal a map there because too many people go there and die. So it's the location's kept secret.
Well, it sounds like there's an actual wall between two of the oceans.
Yeah.
That has a
reverse, it's so big it has a reverse gravity field,
like waterfall that runs over
that
it.
Runs up, like on one side it runs up. Like it's so cool. And even in the episode 62 they had a whole you can't use a regular compass. You need to use a like adventure compass.
Like, you can't sail north. You can map between two islands and you can sail between them.
Yeah.
And then make your new island one of the two and sail to another
island.
But like that's best you can do.
Which inherently fuels adventures.
Absolutely.
Which is a great device.
Kind of making me want to watch some One Piece.
Or at least try and finish off that
Except that I know I'll be beating my head against 400 more episodes before we get to like the next part of a story.
Well, you realize that they're still in the grand line. They must still be in that segment at episode 380.
Yeah.
When we left them at 62.
We just gotten into Thriller Bark, the Thriller Bark arc.
Yeah, Thriller Bark.
And that's, again, like we're at like episode 380 of 1100 something. Plus like 5 movies and 12 OVAs and some other shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a point in the anime where the Straw Hat Crew go out and do training or whatever for 2 years and then have to come back together. And it's a time jump.
Oh my lord.
Like, they don't actually like...
Because you know the episodes to get through it, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. Like, they're like, oh no, we have to have a time jump here. Because God forbid, like, dude, we've spent 3 years in actual time watching these motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Like,
well, I'm not won over on it, but I was pleasantly surprised that One Piece was not tooth-pullingly like, oh my god, what anime have you selected for us, Danny? So, good job. Not the greatest thing I've ever watched, but not the worst.
right.
I had fun with the 4 episodes. I'm glad I don't have to watch 1100.
Yeah, I'm not watching the rest of this. I probably won't watch any more unless Danny makes us watch more. And honestly, as long as the live action goes, I don't think I'll watch the new episodes, the new anime where they shorten it up.
Yeah, no, I'm still. It's still. I just don't like the art style.
Not only for me, the art style. It's not even the art style for me. I don't think they'll capture like the live action captures what I think the idea of One Piece is better than the actual original. Like in a more pure. Someone had to sit down and okay, fuck all the devil fruit shit. What is the show about?
Right.
Like I know it's about pirates, but like
whatever you think is exciting. No. What's the theme?
Like what is Luffy after? You know, and the I don't know. The live action one leaves me inspired every once in a while, which is nothing that the anime has ever done.
Yeah. Well, I think that's going to wrap it up for us this week. Tune in next week when Patreon supporter John Paul Vitale has us watch Average Joe.
Average Joe.
Which is a live action show about a guy covering up a murder, I think.
Okay.
I'm going in pretty blind.
Okay.
But it looks interesting. Looks a little gory and gruesome on the poster. He's standing there covered in blood like, fuck.
Oh, okay, so he's more Sloppy Joe.
We'll see. But until next time.
TV Dudes out. Come aboard, pod along.
Gather up all of the crew, it's time to ship our Binks' brew. Sea wind blows to where, who knows, the waves will be our guide. Or across the ocean's tide, rays of sunshine far and wide. Birds they sing of cheerful things in circles passing by. Bid farewell to Weaver's Town, say so long to Port Renown. Sing a song, it won't be long before we're casting off. Cross the gold and silver seas, a salty spray puts us at ease. Day and night to our delight, the voyage never ends. Yo ho ho ho, yo ho ho.